Glad to welcome you to our webcast today featuring Production Coach. This is a sneak preview of what we'll be displaying at IWF starting actually a week from today, next Wednesday. In today's webcast, we're going to be covering a number of things related to our application of Production Coach. We'll be learning how to import work orders from other CAD/CAM solutions. As you may or may not know, we've taken kind of an agnostic approach to the design or CAD/CAM software that our customers are using. We have links to a number of softwares, some of the most popular to our industry, of course, the WCAD CAMs, the Cabinet Visions, the Microvellums, the Cutrights, and even others, including spreadsheets and databases. So we're able to pretty much be able to import data from any source, so it makes it really easy to use the data you've already created. Second of all, we'll be making sure that you understand the technologies we have for helping you with things like scheduling. We're utilizing Google Calendar there to be able to do that, and for many of our customers it's tremendously helpful. We'll get into other things such as how to manage documents, business intelligence, how to track, sort, kit, assembly with 3D visualization, staging, shipping, and then we'll even get into timekeeping and job site tracking. And so there's quite a bit to cover. We're really honored that we have our Production Coach has been selected as a finalist for the Challengers Award at IWF. For those of you who may not be familiar with the show, IWF is the largest woodworking show in North America, held once every 2 years, and there's one award for the most innovative selection that they have, and so we're down to only 12 at this point, and we get an opportunity a week from yesterday, next Tuesday, to make a 15-minute presentation in front of the Challengers Award judges. So just keep in mind today that as we go through and we spend approximately an hour together, that we'll be doing all of that in a very condensed form in 15 minutes for the show. And most of the presentations that we'll be doing during that time at IWF and for group kind of settings will be in about that same duration. So that being said, I believe what you're going to get from today is going to be much more thorough, and it's going to show you some innovations that we've done that I believe are really, really awesome, and so I'm looking forward to that. What you will be seeing on your screen is I have a little docking station here that is the Production Coach logins. And so for our demonstration of today, I've made a login for Office. For panel processing, I use a generic term there. Some are doing, saws, and others are doing nesting machines, that kind of stuff. We'll have sorting, assembly, staging, and shipping. So I'm going to begin by logging in to the Office application of this, and I want to give you a little understanding of the user interface, and so hopefully that can be real helpful for you to understand the way this works. So what do we have? On the left-hand side, you'll see that we have work orders, so you can select on any individual work order, and I believe yours is showing that. What's displayed in the upper section in the middle are what I'm going to call the assemblies. There might be the cabinets, the die walls, the fixtures, the countertop, that kind of stuff. And in the lower section of this, it's displaying the loose items that are not part of the assemblies, but part of what we probably need to kit and to be able to eventually ship. Lots of great things that are possible to do with the configuration of this, so that these items are automatically sorted for you and even following your rules for kitting. As an example, some of my customers do not install poles on their cabinets. And so if we imported an order and it had let's say 49 pulls in it, but you had created a rule on import one time, and then you imported work orders after that. Let's say that one had, you set a rule that said, I want to make a pack of pulls no greater than 25, and so it would have made 2 kits automatically for you, one with 25 and one with 24 to get to the 49. So there's a number of buttons that we'll be covering during the presentation, and I'll try to go slow enough to make that make sense. What I'm going to begin with is importing a order. In this case, just because we do promote WCAG-CAM and CutWrite, I'll be importing data from that source, but again, we have other connections to CAD-CAM available for your choice if you choose Production Coach for your manufacturing. So really easy to be able to do this. One of the things that I want for us to see today that's going to be nice and unique is that in the case of, for example, a microvellum or a cabinet vision, they're doing their own nesting. In the case of a WCAG-CAM, it's using CutWrite, so I imported a CutWrite nesting results into the WCAG-CAM order here inside of Production Coach. Not that that's a big thing. So in the upper section, again, are all of the assemblies that we have in the job. Notice that the status is ready for production. In the bottom section of this are all the loose items I made in my configuration that if it found specific terms, that it would apply those. Just to give you a quick example, if I went to import settings configuration and I took a look at what is detached items, you can see that I've created 5 rules. Mine, I'm able to use a wildcard for an asterisk, whatever name that I want, and I'm telling it what I want it to do. I made one for filler, profile, crown, kick, and here's the one working with this data, which I used wildcard, ADGA wildcard, and I'm telling this to automatically create a kit for me. And so all of those things are done. So real easy to set up this data one time to be able to work with what you have, and then we're ready to start running this in production. Before I go further, I just want to give you a little idea of what happens if you do choose Production Coach. Typically, we are having a kickoff meeting after we've done commercial transaction with one of our project managers, and they're reviewing what it is, number of stations and options and those kind of things, and they work on developing a project plan that's sent back to you for you to sign off on. At that time, there's all kinds of confirmation about hardware, networking, all that kind of stuff all done. Once you have hardware in place, we do an online session again for being able to install remotely and to install your database for basic testing. And then we come on site, and depending upon the number of stations and options, we're on site anywhere from 2 to 5 days is a pretty good range for those. And during that time, we're actually running live and training your people even on the floor. So when we walk away, you have a system that's really, really running. So while we're here in the office, a few things that we might want to cover, not necessarily in any particular order, but one of these that I want to get to initially is what I'm going to call business intelligence. This is giving you a real-time view of your factory. So the same stations that we have for the office, panel processing, sorting, assembly, staging, shipping, are being displayed graphically here so that you can see, first of all, if you have a balanced workflow. You want that line to be as horizontal as possible. For most of our customers, their goal is as much throughput as possible with as little WIP or work in progress as possible. So we want to make sure that everything's running smoothly. And the second dashboard of this is showing you a map to bottlenecks. So we're able to count and to know how many things, whether that's parts, products, orders, whatever, are in between different stations based on what was produced. And so you can have easy controls to define if you want to be alerted if a number falls below or above whatever settings that you want, so you can see if you really do have, you're running out of parts or products between stations, or you got too much building up. So it gives you a real nice view of your factory. We're measuring the quality of work that you're putting out. If you're creating damaged parts and that kind of stuff, we're tracking all that information. We're allowing you to set performance goals by workstation and to be able to see how you're doing according to those goals. You can see that my assembly is in red because it's fallen below the number by this time of day that it should be at for production. Not only can you run this in a real-time mode, but you can also run it in deferred. It's basically big data, things we're able to look at over periods of time. Maybe on this damaged part, you want to be able to see what's the percentage of damaged parts occurring by a certain station. Here I can see that my panel processing station has produced far more damaged parts than any other station, and so maybe I need to think about doing preventative maintenance or operator training, whatever that would be. So lots of good information available to you here from the Business Intelligence Dashboard. While we're here, let's go ahead and one of the things that our customers often want to do is that they want to actually generate a what we're going to call a shipping ticket. And so here I'm going to take this and say that I want to make a new shipping ticket, and I'll say I want to look at my PM004. Maybe I want to select everything in it, but maybe there's a reason why from the job site or whatever that they want a certain number of items not included in that packing list. And so now I'm going to make that packing list. I'll just call this one 1. Notice that this is also a release manager, so we've tracked what has already been accredited to a different packing list. So now the only things available for that are what is back available. So you can select from multiple work orders, whatever you need to do. I'll go ahead and create a second packing list. So now that we've created these, we can see the items in each of the packing lists, and we're all good to go. For some people, they may do that in the office, others may have a production office. While we're here, I want us to see that one of the nice features, if you have our Google Calendar integration with Dropbox, it means that you're able to have documents available at any station and available via the calendar. So if I need to have elevations, assemblies, whatever it is that you want to be able to display, these are literally a click of a button, and you've got the data that you might want for these. And so it makes it really good to be able to work on any of that kind of documentation that would be helpful to have at a click of a button. Also, what I want to do is I want to supplement the data that came in on this order, and so I'm going to give it some additional information. I can give it client names, addresses. By the way, if you put an address in, it will also give you Google turn-by-turn directions that you can click from the Google Calendar or whatever, maybe a delivery driver, install people, whatever it is. I'm going to go ahead and use today's date for delivery. That probably seems a little bit goofy, but I think you'll see why, and I'm going to set the 17th as a installation date. Assume that you know, because this is Google Calendar, you can have as many calendar views as you want. I made a couple for shipping. I made our truck as one of those. You can have as many views for installers as you want. I'm going to assign this to our truck and installer 1. You can also have a planned schedule. And so what this is doing is you can have a multitude of strategies for how you want the system to back schedule. Maybe some jobs are more complex than others. Oh, here's a good example. Maybe we have a melamine job running through the factory, and we want to compare that with a veneer finish job. They're not going to go through the same stations. Obviously, we'll have sanding and finishing in the veneer job that we wouldn't have in the melamine job. That the time when I need to get started with cutting, machining, whatever is different. So anyway, I made one called 5-day production. You can have as many planned schedules as you like. And I'm even going to add a numeric value to this. The numeric value could represent a number of things. It could represent the monetary value of the job. It could represent hours or minutes that you estimated originally for the work, or whatever kind of numeric value. We're actually evaluating the capacity or the production goals at each station by 3 different factors. One is this numeric factor, the second is by number of sheets, and the other by number of parts or products. There's other things that we could add, but for this moment we're just going to leave those things in place. So we have these intact, so now we'll go directly to the Google Calendar. So at the Google Calendar, we'll now see, of course, I'm not running a manufacturing plant, so in my calendar, I don't have a lot of work orders. This is the one that we have in this date range for it. I also do that because I think that it looks a little bit simpler in the way that I'm going to try to show you how this works when there's not a bunch of work orders in it. And so I can see, first of all, that my PM004 is scheduled for shipping here on the 15th. If you look at the legend in the bottom left-hand corner, if PM004 was completed at panel processing, that bar would be gray. If it had been sorted, it'd be yellow. If it had been assembled, it'd have been orange, or whatever colors. And of course, you can have your own stations, your own colors, all that kind of stuff. If we look at this from individual calendars, I'm on deliveries all. If I look at pickup, they don't have anything scheduled, but if I look at our truck, they do. If I look at installation, we see that we have an installation all on the 17th. If I look at installer 2, they have nothing, but installer 1 does. So everybody can have their own unique calendar of what it is that they need to see. I'm going to go here to the progress, and I'm going to click on ship, staged, assembled, sorting, and panel processing for you to see the way that this 5-day production back-scheduled this work. And so obviously from the legend, it becomes real obvious to see that we were scheduled to do panel processing on the 9th. We should have done sorting by the 10th, assembly by the 13th, staging by the 14th, and shipping here on today's date. Notice that the bar on the right-hand side is red. It's red because we're behind schedule. So it makes it really obvious for you to be able to see from the calendar if anything is falling behind. It's green if it's not behind schedule. So really, really easy for a visual. I'm going to turn off ship, staged, assembled, sorted, and I want to only look at panel processing for a moment. One of the reasons for that is I want to take you into this. First of all, you might see that not only was the documentation available from Production Coach, but here the same documentation is available inside of the Google Calendar. So it makes it really nice. So if you have that option, any documents that you saved, and you can have those available so that only some can view certain types of documents inside of the system. There are all kinds of things that we can do with the job to be able to drill in and to be able to see what's going on. Also, if I click into this particular date, notice in the bottom section it's now highlighting for me the job evaluation for this. So I have a little bit of data that is showing up inside of it. Again, evaluating by sheets, parts, products. I say parts or products because it depends on the station, how you want to do that, or by dollars. I can also run this across and to be able to see this based on any date range. Maybe I want to look at the entire week's production and how that's matching up against my production goals. I'll show you underneath the hood a little bit just so you can see how easy this is to set up. We'll go look at the calendars, and I'll go to one, for example, for panel processing, and I'll say that I want to be able to configure the units per day that I want to be able to do. So I'm going to tell this, hey, I want my panel processing to range between 50 and 80 sheets, or maybe I want my dollar value to be between 5 and 10,000, or number of sheets, or however it is that you want to be able to do this. So it's really working in a nice way for you to be able to configure this very quickly and to be able to use the system. So in working with this, beyond this side of it, what I want us to recognize is that we're able to just automatically back schedule, but at the same time, we give you the ability to drag and drop. So this is Google Calendar. So, you've looked at your production goals, maybe you've got too much stuff built up, you need to drag a few forward, backward, whatever it is that you need to do to ensure that you're filling up, meeting your production goals for each of the individual stations. We'll come back and take a look at this again in the calendar after we've done some processing so that we can see what the status is of these orders. So anyway, just a little 5,000-foot view of how we're utilizing the calendar to help our customers with back scheduling. What I'm going to do at this point is that I'm going to close down the office station, and I'm going to open up the panel processing station. Here, we have a variety of ways that we can help our customers. For example, some are running panel saws, other nested base routers. Some are doing combinations of those. We have, in some cases, the ability to read the controllers and actually get the drip feedback from the controllers, so if there's not even any operator interaction to this. In other cases, we can give you a barcode per sheet or nest to scan, and it will update the parts that are part of it. Or we also have a print to scan, which basically is a start and stop of work order. And I'm going to introduce for the first time today for you to see a new technology that we're doing that we call smart labels. So for those of you who are doing nesting applications and printing labels out at the CNC, we've taken that an advancement, I believe, which is far beyond technologies that are available in the marketplace. For the most part, they allow you to view a pattern, such as I'll click on and we'll see. I just want to make sure that you're visualizing the same thing, and I believe you are. And so now I can see the pattern and all that kind of stuff for it. Typically, in most systems, you would have the ability to either select an individual part and to be able to print the label for it, or you would be able to select the whole pattern and it would print them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the play button. So first of all, I've now printed the very first part label. I can set a sequence and timing or goals for the operator. I can control the order that they're going to be placing labels on and moving those. I am displaying the barcode. Notice down here the barcode direction so that the parts are orientated, or the label is orientated correctly on the part. I'm updating the status of the parts in Production Coach so that we know that those parts have been completed. And I'm also allowing or giving the instruction for the grouping of parts. So what does that mean? Well, coming off the CNC, many people are going to go to edge banding, horizontal bore, whatever next operations are for you. And so we can either group by like edge material, or we can group by part type. So imagine that the operator here has a nice symbol. We can see that very first part we were dealing with is telling it to put it in A1. And so all of the common edge bands are going into that grouping so that it makes it easier for the edge band operator to be able to be set up and to run all of those in an order. And then we have different materials for A2 that are happening as they come across. We also give you the ability to be able to report a damaged part right on the fly and to be able to generate an alert that we'll look at in a few minutes at a different station. So whether you want to direct that to the office or wherever it is so that those kind of things can be managed. So what all are we doing? Yes, we're doing labels on demand. And yes, we do it with all of the softwares that we mentioned, the Cabinavisions, Microvellums, the CutRite applications for this. And potentially we can do it with others. We're allowing you to be able to pace your operator to cause them to unload the machine in the order that you want. We're helping them with the grouping of it and even the orientation of the labeling, not to mention the automation of tracking. So all of those parts are now updated in status. And so we can see everything that we've worked on so far. So it makes it really easy to be able to see those things happen. And so for those of you doing nesting applications, you may want to consider all of the advantages of utilizing our smart labeling system. I'm going to close down I'm going to close down the panel processing for just a moment, and I'm going to open up the station here for sorting. And at sorting, this is a really powerful thing. Let's say that your typical work order, and this is because our customers seem to range this, is that they usually release between 30 and 40 cabinets, not all, but many, between 30 and 40 cabinets in a work order. Well, if there were 10 parts per cabinet on average, that would be, 300 to 400. So let's pick a median and say 35 cabinets, 350 parts. They may be grouped for things like edge banding. They may be grouped for horizontal bore, dowel insertion kind of things, but they're not grouped by product. So we want to make this a real nice, easy way to be able to handle and manage, so that when assembly is notified that all the parts are available for a product, it's literally pull and build. You never have to worry about that. So I'm going to open up the sorting station for this, and I'm going to simply scan a part that's coming at me, either, whether it's on roller conveyor, a transfer cart, whatever it is. And so when I scan that, first of all, what it's going to do is evaluate this work order and tell me, if I'm using mobile carts, which carts that I need. In this case, the work order was small enough that I only needed one. If it, this holds 12 products. If I would have had a work order with 35, it would have said go get rack ABC or ADF, depending upon which ones were available at the time. We can already be notified here that we have a part that was damaged, so we're waiting for that to be corrected and to make its way back to me, so I'm not expecting that I'll be able to have that in place. So that first part that I scan goes in bin 7. In the lower left-hand corner, you'll see that we have a legend also for this. So ultimately, we want to turn all of the bins green. Today, we don't want to scan that many parts, but I'm going to go scan a few, and if you'll just watch the screen, you'll see where to place those parts, which literally means you could have an employee doing this that has no idea anything about your company, your construction, anything else. They just know they need to scan parts and put them where they belong. I scanned enough parts for us to turn one of the bins green. So that means that it's ready to assemble. Ultimately, we want all of the bins to turn green, but we don't want to spend forever scanning today. But there are some things that I want to show you. Let's say that you scanned all 350 parts. By the way, some of our customers sort cabinet parts separate from doors and drawer fronts, separate from drawer boxes, separate from toe base assemblies, however you want to do that, and we can synchronize it all together. Not only can we make it available for assembly to see which products are available, we could limit the number that it's displaying for them. We could even give you a preference for which ones you want them to install first. For example, maybe you'd say, always install base cabinets first. After base cabinets, install tall cabinets. After tall cabinets, do uppers, or whatever kind of order. You could even be working with multiple installers. Maybe you've got a senior installer and a junior, so you could organize so that the easier products are displayed for the junior guy and the more complex guy for the senior. So what I want to do for a moment is I want to find out what's missing from bin number 8. So I can click one button and see what it was that didn't get scanned. Maybe I can tell that I've got a left side for this, and maybe I just need to verify a little bit more information. I can tell by the machining of it that it was a 3-drawer, and so maybe the label fell off of this. So I'm just literally going to say I'm manually sorting this. In addition, maybe I've got a part that I'm trying to sort, and it's got a label on it, but it's got a problem. I literally could come here and click a button and to generate a damaged part alert. Say, hey, you know what? Edge banding screwed this up. It's got a problem. And so that report can go out as well. So lots of great features of what you can do and manage here from sorting. Our customers tell us that this reduces their material handling by as much as 80%. So please keep in mind at this point that we have bin 7 that has all of its parts. And so that's pretty cool. I'm going to close down sorting for a moment, and I'm going to open up Production Coach in the mode of assembly. Again, our sorting works both with fixed racks and mobile carts. Lots of configuration options for that. So from bin number 7, I'm going to scan one of the part labels. Doesn't matter which one. At assembly, it's going to change its status. It's now going to bring us to a 3D view. It's going to highlight the part in the assembly. We're creating this 3D, by the way, with full animation capabilities for you so that you would have easy ability to, you need to see behind it, you need to see below it, whatever it is that you might need for this is available for you. If you need to be able to hide items, you can do that and see inside, whatever it is. Maybe you even want to click and to be able to see the WMF drawings for all the machining on a particular part. All of that is available to you. So here at assembly, I get the 3D visualizations. I see all my parts. I see all of my fronts as well as all of my hardware that I need to complete this assembly. So really easy to use. In addition, we also change the status of that to assembled, and if I click a button, I want to show you a few labels here for a couple of moments. We've now generated a unique ID for this cabinet that's been assembled, so now you could print. We sent an automatic queue to the printer, and you printed out the barcode for this. By the way, at IWF, not only will we be doing this, but the label will contain RFID. And so when we get to shipping, we'll be actually reading the RFID onto the truck instead of even having to scan barcodes. So anyway, this has got its own unique ID at this point. By the way, the same thing if we were looking at kit labels for the loose items, we've generated all of that data. So we've got it for products. We have it for kits. I just want to make sure you're viewing that. Okay, so I think you can see that now as well. And also, some of our customers are palletizing products after assembly. So I'm going to turn on to create a pallet. I'm now going to scan product barcodes. So now I scanned 3 items that are now part of this. So I'm going to turn this off and click a button, and we'll now see that even we've created a pallet label so that you could scan the one label and it would count these items onto the truck. So we're able to help you manage all of those things very easily. For some of our customers, they also need to be able to stage. You can set up your factory so that you have different staging locations. It can show you if you've got something in a location. I'll select A01 because it's available. I can tell it what all that I want to stage into that area. You can scan things into the area, or you can now have everybody know where that work order is being staged. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close down assembly, and I'm going to open up a station for shipping. So I had a question that popped up, and so I wanted to pause and to answer this, not because necessarily is it the right time, but I want to encourage everyone to be able to ask questions. And it says, can projects be scheduled by using resources? In your example, each phase of production took the same amount of time. This is not typically the way that phases occur. Some phases will take more time than others. And so let me try to give a good explanation. So you're able to have various back scheduling methods. In my simple example of 5-day production, they were scheduled in sequential days of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. However, you can have as many different kinds of back scheduling methods that you want. Maybe on a veneer job, I want to start panel processing 7 days in advance, and maybe I can do certain things like maybe I can do panel processing, I can do sorting, and maybe I can do assembly. But maybe I need to be able to skip all the way to day 5 or whatever it is for sanding, or maybe that it needs to occur at day 2. This is displaying on the calendar the date that it's to be complete at the operation. The strategy for most of our customers, not all, but for many of our customers, is that we're pushing work orders out that are not what I would consider large projects. They would be a work order for that. And so you have the ability to have, for example, a project, but many work orders as a child level underneath that, and those are what's being finitely scheduled. Not always are we going to understand via a question typed or what I state, and so the good news is it gets recorded, so we get a chance to follow up and make sure that your question get answered. What I can tell you is we have a pretty good number of customers utilizing our scheduling, and they find that it's really fast, easy to set up, and gives them really good visibility in their factory to know all the things that are going on. By the way, this is probably a good point for us to click back over to staging at this case, the calendar at this stage, because I want to take, and I also want to stage these loose items as well, and I want you to view the calendar. You might expect that this would have happened, but just so that you understand what is occurring in progress, is that the calendar event then changes based on the status of the work order being completed at a certain point. So, sorry, I was here at this, so what I want to do is I want to select these. We haven't done them all, so I'm going to change the status of this to staged, and here to staged. So now if we went and looked at this on the calendar, you will see that this work order has now been completed at staging. And so I believe that you can see the colors and stuff for that have automatically occurred directly in the calendar. So even if you do not use the calendar for your finite scheduling, you can still utilize the calendar for everybody to be able to, any device that you want to be able to give access to be able to know what the status of any work order is at any time and when they're scheduled for delivery, shipping, installation, those kinds of things. So really, really helpful information. So we're here at the shipping station. I'm going to tell this that I want at shipping to be able to open up a shipping tickets. So I'm going to maximize this, and I now see that I am ready to start shipping. So I have a packing list open, and I'm going to scan the first product. You'll notice that my screen turned green. I don't know if you could hear the sound, but it gave me a positive affirmation, meaning that that product barcode was associated with this packing list. I'm going to scan another, and another, and another. So we've now scanned 4 of these items. I want to show you what would happen if somebody tried to scan the same barcode. It's now going to let you know that that's happened. There's something going on because you're not doing this right if this is not going directly into the truck. I want you to also see that we keep you, not only show you what's shipping, but if you try to scan something that's not part of a packing list, it's going to notify you that this is not part of that packing list. It does not belong inside of this. So it makes it really nice and easy for you to be able to use. And then, of course, the beautiful thing is before the door closes, you're able to click a button and to be able to see everything that was scanned onto the truck. So this packing list contained 22 items. We shipped 4 of them, and there are currently 18 of them that have not been scanned onto the truck. Our customers can, for sure, be able to, never let the truck leave without there something that they're aware of that wasn't included in the truck. We want to be able to have 100% accurate shipments. So there are a number of things that we could continue with. One that I want you to see is I want to go to the web interface, and I want to cover both timekeeping and delivery scans for just a moment. So I'm going to go into timekeeping, and I'm going to say I want to go to payroll. By the way, this is web-based. Sorry, I was already clocked in, so I'm going to log completely out and do this from the beginning. I'm going to make sure you can see this as well. So I've got the view up. And so now I'll tell this that I want to log in for the purpose of payroll. And so now I'm clocked in. Notice that above, even though my name is admin, I'm not selected on any work orders, departments, or tasks. We do this web-based, and we do it automatically through production coach stations. Of course, with the web-based, it could be people even outside of the factory, maybe project managers, delivery drivers, installers, whatever you might want to do. Or if it's just more convenient to be able to use a device that can, smart device to the internet. So one nice thing about this is it's linked to Production Coach. So if I went to work orders, you'll see here's the PM004 we were working on. I'll say that they're assigning me to a department called Panel Processing. And I'm going to say in this case that they've got me working on the CNC. So now I'm collecting much more granular data, not only time against the work order, but time against the department, and finally time against the task. I can also move from task to task. Maybe they're going to send me to the edge bander, or I could even move from department to department. Maybe they're going to send me to assembly, and I'm going to do some case assembly. So I believe you're caught up. And then finally being able to switch from work order to work order as we're moving across. So it's real easy to be able to do this. And then finally, whenever you choose to clock out with us, launch in today, whatever, your employees have the ability to see their history of the punches that they have created for all of these things. So we can see where we started in this little range for this session that we're working on today. So we move kind of quickly through that, and of course then there's management tools inside of Production Coach that help us with being able to manage the data. So in our management of the data, we might want to, somebody punched the wrong time or the wrong work order, whatever. You can fix up all those things, and the data is reported either for the purposes of payroll or for job costing and export directly to Excel. Also want to go into a new thing that we're working on called a delivery scan. And so I can now see the 2 shipping tickets that we were working on. I can drill into the shipping tickets, see what orders we have inside of it. And so now we have products available from the web that would allow us to be able to do a scan. And a scan is basically taking an image. I'm sorry, I want to path to something for this. You can imagine some things are a little bit, I want to say a little bit harder for to show over the web. And so now you'll see that it's counted that product. From that, let's scan another, choose another image here. And so now it's finding all these products that are in the list and adding these in for what it is we're doing. So it works out really nice that we're able to allow you to now easily know, just from utilizing a simple picture of a barcode, exactly what has been offloaded from the truck and or at assembly. And so you can have more granular data for this. You can also select an image that you might want for the job site. So you could take a picture of all the products or the upload or install or whatever it is that you want, and those can be attached to the overall and, of course, then completed in the process. So this is the concept for job site tracking. Super simple. You've got access to the packing list via the web, and you're able to take a picture of the product label and for it to count and update all of the products so that we make sure that we not only shipped everything, but that we unloaded all of the right things from the truck. So anyway, I'm going to pause at this point and see what it is that we might have for questions, if there's any others. We have a schedule of about 10 more minutes still available, and so I want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need. So some questions I can't really answer. How much does it cost? Well, Production Coach is not a one-size-fits-all. It's a very modular system where you can do as little or as much as you want with the system. And so it is a range of price, which also affects the range of services that might be required. For example, the very smallest would be 3 stations, so where you would have an office import, a link to whatever your CAD/CAM is, a station at assembly to generate labels for products, and one at shipping. And so that can be a really inexpensive, kind of a deal. Whereas we have other customers that have dozens of stations, and they're doing, our business intelligence, our Google Calendar and Dropbox integration, our timekeeping, potentially our delivery scan. So you can imagine that there's a very a significant range of the way that this could work. So I can't really answer very good a pricing kind of a deal. I will tell you this much. We are having pre-canned bundles for IWF during the show, just because it's so crazy that there's not even much time to make individualized proposals. We've got a kind of a nice base that includes not only what I described at the minimum, but also at panel processing for roughly $16,000. We have a medium kind of a package that includes sorting and some additional stations, as well as business intelligence and job site tracking for about $28,000. And then we have a more loaded up version that includes a lot of stations and a lot of the optional modules to them at just under $40,000. So that kind of gives you some range, but definitely we can customize for you, and we have your RSA representatives can help you quickly get to kind of a budgetary range for that. Sorry, that's just not an easy question to be able to answer. IWF. Okay, this is good. At IWF, it would be easy to find our booth. It's right across the aisle from HOMAG, and so that's one of the largest booths at the show, so we're just only separated by an aisle. In our booth, we'll be displaying Production Coach. We'll have a station for office panel processing, have a transfer cart, sorting carts. We'll have an assembly table, and then we'll have an RFID station for shipping. We'll have business intelligence dashboard and tablets for displaying the web application. So I think you'll be able to see a real nice live view of the way that those things work. Also, Production Coach is running a number of the cells in the Styles HOMAG booth. Not only their IntelliStore panel processing line, but their mill will be running their gang reps, molders, crosscuts, doing sorting, and then we'll be running their finishing. So we'll be doing RFID for 5-piece doors going through sanding and finishing operations. So there will be quite a bit to see at the show, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be on today, because I think that this honestly is more thorough, or it's better to at least see this the first time before you get there and realize that we're making basically 15-minute presentations at semi-hyper speed just to get through all of the groups. I can't tell you the way that this show will go. I would assume being a Challenger Award finalist is probably a good thing. Probably being next to the home ec booth probably gets us some good traffic. I can tell you at AWFS, we literally ran those 15-minute cycles over and over, almost nonstop, for all 4 days of the show. We will have representatives available, though, to be able to help you if you've got some, individual, more deep dive things that you want to take a look at. My only big fear is, as you would imagine, ramping up technical services fast for those things is not an easy thing to do. And so by the time the show is over, I expect that we have a pretty significant lead time before we can get to people for things like installations and on-site implementation. Let me look again. Okay, can staging areas in the plant have to be in a rectangular shape, or can they be in other arrangements? They can be any way that you want. We are displaying them in Production Coach. I mean, really doesn't even matter. It's just a sequence of alphanumeric here. And so what I'm going to suggest that you do is that you, basically cordon off the staging area so that everybody knows for a staging A1 or B2 or however you want to do yours, so that when they're assigned in Production Coach, somebody knows exactly where to go. It says on a damaged part, when you remake, do you rescan and tell you where to put it? By the way, thank you for that reminder. One of the things that I hadn't done that I wanted is I wanted to be able to open back up, for example, the Office, and to show you the alert that will pop up. It doesn't have to be to the Office. It can be exactly where you want it to be. But notice when I open the Office, I'm going to minimize this for a moment. You'll see that an alert pops up and the warning center turns red. I can now click on the alert, and I can see the 2 alerts that we've done. I can see more details all the way down to materials and the barcode for the item, so I know exactly what it is, and so then I can determine how it's being fixed. So I'm going to say this is being fixed at panel processing, and so then, of course, those things can be scanned through the system, and so you can know exactly where they are in progress. Catching back up to sorting is probably the location that they make it to. However, there could be things like an adjustable shelf or something, or a loose item that was part of damage that didn't even have to show up until staging. What type of hardware do you need on the shop floor for tracking and logging in and out of work orders? If you request a proposal of Production Coach, every one of them includes the hardware requirements, meaning if you're going to use the server, optional, but if you're going to use the server, those requirements, the PC requirements, the scanner requirements, both for USB or cordless, the printer requirements, and so you have everything that you need from us to be able to acquire the hardware. What I can tell you is that the requirements are pretty minimal for this, and so it's not bad at all to be able to do this. Okay, I believe that I got to all of the questions that you guys ask. Of course, I'm sure it's not everything, but hopefully you'll have an opportunity to be thinking about what it is that you got to see in this last hour. I hope it was a good investment of your time, and I really, really appreciate you attending today's webcast. For those of you coming to IWF, please do look us up. I'd love to get a chance to shake your hand and say hello at the show. So this will conclude today's webcast. Again, thank you. Appreciate your time. Take care and God bless.